Welcome to Storyflix. In this video, we will explain I'm not just going to do what Kurosaki-kun says. This movie tells the story of a high school student saved from a bullying incident by a young man known as Black Devil, which later made her his serf. Until one day, she could finally release from the Black Devil's bonds, but it actually made her sad. What really happened between the two of them? Let's find out, and I'm not just going to do what Kurosaki-kun says. I'm not just going to do what Kurosaki-kun says tells a story of a girl named Akabane who has finally passed the gloomy days and is ready to welcome a brighter life. But unexpectedly, Akabane had only walked a few steps when a teenage boy stopped her. A teenage boy named Haruto Kurosaki said that Akabane was a serf and had to obey all his words, and he immediately kissed her. Akabane was shocked and pushed Kurosaki away, refusing to be his serf. But Kurosaki insists that Akabane has no other choice, and when he had walked away, she called him a demon. Not long after, another teenage boy greeted Akabane. This is Takumi Shirakawa. Shirakawa had a different appearance from Kurosaki. Shirakawa's behavior was different, though he confused Akabane when he pointed to her lips. Akabane then asked if Shirakawa would ask her to pretend to be a girlfriend again, which he immediately refused. Shirakawa instead came closer and said that Akabane's brighter life had already begun, and he brought Akabane's finger to his lips before kissing her and said he would show her what true love was. Akabane was confused because she got 2 kisses in just a few minutes. The scene then changes to Akabane's past, where she is seen entering the classroom with a different appearance. Akabane wears thick glasses and is made fun of by her classmates. She apparently got bullied a lot before finally changing her appearance and moving into the dorm, and that's when she met Kurosaki, the hostel leader. Kurosaki annoys Akabane, which ends up making her accidentally cut his hair. Since then, Kurosaki made Akabane a serf and told her to obey all orders. One of them stole Akabane's first kiss. It was then that Akabane met Shirakawa, the real head of romance. In contrast to Kurosaki's attitude, Shirakawa treats Akabane sweetly and takes care of her. Shirakawa then asked Akabane to pretend to be his girlfriend so that she began to have many friends. But that doesn't mean Kurosaki's distractions have stopped. Although eventually, Kurosaki began to change his behavior and be more gentle with Akabane. Akabane became close to Kurosaki and Shirakawa, 2 figures like the White Horse Prince and the Devil. Shirakawa and Kurosaki seemed to start fighting over Akabane. Even though Akabane knew the two were only around her out of a desire, she wished she could get to know them better. On the way to school, Shirakawa challenges Kurosaki to a competition. Apparently, earlier at the dorm, Shirakawa revealed his true feelings for Akabane, but Kurosaki insisted that she belonged to him. Akabane and the others were late for class. When Akabane was about to take her seat, she saw Kurosaki sitting in the back seat. As usual, Kurosaki bothered her and told her to pull the grass after school, then he bit her ear. The friends are aware of Akabane's relationship with Shirakawa and Kurosaki, especially after Shirakawa came to Akabane to have lunch together. At that time, Akabane asked about Shirakawa's attitude the previous morning who kissed her. Shirakawa finally confessed his feelings, telling Akabane he really liked her. But Akabane didn't believe it, and she didn't deny that he could like her. Shirakawa finally put his arm around Akabane's shoulders and kept trying to protect her. Shirakawa's declaration of love kept ringing when Akabane carried out Kurosaki's orders to clean up the garden. At that time, Akabane asked Kurosaki to stop ordering her, but he instead threatened to do worse things to her. Akabane was sitting in the common room listening to Kurosaki's piano playing when she was surprised by the presence of Kurosaki's friend, Yasuke Kazi. When Akabane complained about Kurosaki's bad behavior, Kazu said Kurosaki was a good man. He explained that Kurosaki's piano playing expresses inexpressible emotions so that the strains of the song can touch the heart. Kazi shared that he was often bullied in middle school before Kurosaki became his friend. After promising not to reveal the secrets of Kazi's past, Akabane gets a message from Maiko Ashikawa, a classmate. Ashikawa comes to visit Akabane in the dorm and sees Kurosaki's shirt. But Ashikawa said that the shirt belonged to Shirakawa. Akabane intended to tell about Kurosaki and Shirakawa, but instead, they were called to play basketball together. Ashikawa easily beats her friends and says she can't be beaten by any man. Things change when Kurosaki arrives and defeats Ashikawa. Shirakawa then challenges Kurosaki to a basketball match with Akabane as a bet. Ashikawa supports Kurosaki until Akabane finally discovers Ashikawa's feelings for Kurosaki. Ashikawa had liked Kurosaki since the previous summer. Kurosaki saved Ashikawa, who was cramping in the pool and nearly drowned. The growing feelings for Kurosaki make Ashikawa decide to break up with her boyfriend. Akabane then reveals that Shirakawa confessed his love for her. On the basketball court, Akabane couldn't take her eyes off Kurosaki. Kurosaki then won a basketball match with Shirakawa, though Shirakawa made sure he wouldn't give up chasing Akabane. That night, it rained heavily, so Akabane and her friends gathered in the dormitory's common room. Shirakawa saw Akabane having trouble pouring the tea and helped her, then he quietly grabbed her hand. Not long after, the power went out. Shirakawa and Ashikawa went to get the flashlight, leaving Kurosaki and Akabane alone. At that time, Kurosaki immediately hugged Akabane and said she was unfaithful. Kurosaki then said that he would make Akabane not forget who she belonged. Shirakawa returned and apologized for leaving Akabane alone. When the power came back on, then he saw the kiss marks on Akabane's neck. The kiss mark was left by Kurosaki, and Akabane felt even more guilty considering Ashikawa's feelings for Kurosaki. Akabane decided she would support Ashikawa's feelings for Kurosaki so they could be together. While at school, Akabane suggests that Ashikawa invite Kurosaki as they have 2 tickets left to the amusement park. They went to the amusement park together, and Akabane tried to bring Ashikawa closer to Kurosaki. They heard about the legend of a kiss at the top of a Ferris wheel that could bring couples together. On the amusement park, they really had fun and tried different games. When Shirakawa saw that Akabane was cold from not wearing gloves, he took her hand and put it in his jacket pocket. Akabane suggests that Ashikawa take Kurosaki on the Ferris wheel. Despite initially refusing, Ashikawa and Kurosaki ride the Ferris wheel, while Shirakawa and Akabane go for a walk together. Shirakawa suddenly hugs Akabane, asking her to be his girlfriend. Despite receiving a declaration of love from the White Knight, Akabane apparently did not feel happy. When they returned, they saw no other friends. When Shirakawa went to buy a drink, Kurosaki took Akabane to kiss her on the Ferris wheel. Shirakawa is confused when Akabane is not around, and he meets Ashikawa and Kazi. Shirakawa saw the Ferris wheel and guessed that Kurosaki and Akabane were kissing. Kurosaki and Akabane are back together, but Akabane lies by saying she got lost and accidentally met Kurosaki. After returning to the dormitory, Akabane wondered why she couldn't refuse Kurosaki, and she felt Kurosaki like poison spreading into her body. On the other hand, Shirakawa talked to Kurosaki in the dorm room about Akabane. Shirakawa said that their childhood friendship would end if Kurosaki and Akabane were dating. While sweeping the dormitory grounds, Akabane saw a piano in an empty building and tried to play the piano. Then, Kurosaki suddenly appeared behind and guided her fingers. After the piano playing ended, Kurosaki decided Akabane was no longer his serf, and he reasoned that he was satisfied with her. Akabane returned to the dorms sadly, though she was confused because she should be happy. But Akabane actually cried alone in the room. At school, Akabane is still gloomy. Especially after Kurosaki ignored her. Ashikawa noticed Akabane's sadness. Likewise, Shirakawa saw Akabane as gloomy. When Shirakawa asked, Akabane said she no longer needed to obey Kurosaki's words and was now free. Akabane felt even sadder because she felt she was no longer needed. That night Kurosaki couldn't sleep out of his room to come to the empty building, and he remembered playing the piano with Akabane. The next day at school, Akabane apologizes to Ashikawa and confesses that she likes Kurosaki and she feels guilty because Ashikawa likes Kurosaki. Ashikawa confirmed that their feelings had nothing to do with their friendship. Although Ashikawa wouldn't give up so easily on making Kurosaki like her. Akabane was relieved by Ashikawa's words and they embraced. On the other hand, Kurosaki challenges Shirakawa to a basketball match with Akabane as bets. Shirakawa asked why Kurosaki let go of Akabane and if it was because of him. Everyone Shirakawa liked always ended up liking Kurosaki, and Kurosaki just kept giving up on giving them to Shirakawa. For this reason, this time, Shirakawa purposely approached Akabane, the girl Kurosaki liked. Kurosaki finally challenges Shirakawa in a real basketball game, so if Shirakawa loses, he has to completely retreat to approach Akabane. The basketball match was fierce. Shirakawa and Kurosaki did everything they could to win. Finally, who scored the next point and would get Akabane. Even though Shirakawa worked hard to block, Kurosaki's ball entered the basketball hoop. Kurosaki reveals to Shirakawa that he hates losing, but he always lost to Shirakawa. They then laughed again together like two friends. The scene shifts with Shirakawa coming to meet Akabane. Akabane rejects Shirakawa's declaration of love and says there is already someone else she likes. Shirakawa then said he had spoken to Kurosaki, and even though it was the first time, he felt defeated, and then he thanked Akabane. Shirakawa asked Akabane to touch his lips again as a reset sign to return their relationship to normal as friends. After that, Shirakawa pushed Akabane, who immediately ran to meet Kurosaki. Akabane looks for Kurosaki in the dormitory and the empty building where the piano is located. But Kurosaki wasn't anywhere. Kurosaki called, telling Akabane to come to the hill within 5 minutes. Kurosaki had apparently been waiting and said that Akabane was 3 minutes late. Kurosaki said he was going back on his previous remarks and extended Akabane's contract as a serf for an indefinite period. He then said that Akabane belonged to him and would be his girl. Akabane refused, unwilling to become Kurosaki's serf, and instead, she confessed her feelings for Kurosaki and ran to hug him. The film closes with Kurosaki shyly avoiding Akabane's gaze, though he immediately turned around and threatened to kiss her, which she immediately allowed. But that actually made Kurosaki not kiss until Akabane kissed him first. The moral that can be learned from this movie is that sometimes hate means love, and friendship should not be broken because of love.